All right, it's now what you've all been waiting for, part 3 of our first ever brand new MTV Arts and Alcove Dinner Theater podcast. We're going to pick up again right where we left off. This time I'm just going to keep talking to Bruce a little bit more about himself, what he's been up to during quarantine life, and his likes, dislikes, shows that he's proud of, parts he's been wanting to play, or shows he's really wanted the Alcove at MTV Arts to put on but hasn't had the chance yet. So, we'll just jump right into where we left off.
For you, what have you been up to during this quarantine, honestly?
Well, teaching art classes online, doing Google Meet with some of my students. I pop into the regular classroom teachers' meetings and say hello to the kids. I haven't seen them in 6 weeks, which is strange. I'm talking to our producer, Janice Stone, about maybe doing All My Sons, which we had to cancel due to the pandemic.
Postpone,
yes, postpone. But maybe even figuring out a way to make it a recorded radio show with sound effects and everything. But that's going to take a little bit of prepping because we don't know how long we're going to be social distancing. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that kind of got off the hook there. I got caught up in all kinds of Netflix series. Some of them were worth investing time, and others, when it was over, I'm going, sorry, I spent that time.
Did Carol Baskin kill her husband?
Yeah, right.
Everybody's asking that. They're doing that where if you go and have your pizza delivered, they put a sign out on their front door that if you put it on the left or the right and it says, did Carol kill her husband? If you put the pizza on the left side, you think no. If you put it on the right side, you think yes. And I think that's a great thing.
That particular episode, that whole series, they introduced somebody there towards the end of one, and you think, okay, a voice of reason enters this menagerie, and then in the very next season you find out they're just as crazy as the people that were in the last.
Theater people can't even make up those kind of characters. That's what's great. We look at them and go, I can't make that.
When you're in theater and you look at somebody and you go, this is just weird, you know it's weird.
So, what would you say are some of the shows that influenced you, or that are some of your kind of like favorite shows that either you've been a part of or have watched that have kind of been like, ooh, that's one I'm like, let's do that. I could see us doing that someday down the road.
A lot of them are the shows that I brought to Mount Vernon that I did elsewhere. One of my favorite comedies of all time is Dearly Departed. It is just the way it's written. It's written by a couple of the people that used to write for Golden Girls, and I just like their writing. And I know a lot of people don't consider this, highbrow theater, but it's set up and it's delivery. And if you get the right actors in there,
and the straighter it's played, the more straight that those characters are played, and it's realism.
That to me was one of my favorite plays, Dearly Departed. They're burying the patriarch of this hillbilly family, and it has so much heart, but the punchlines, and these guys are just so honest.
Yeah.
They're so honest.
Oh, they're so real.
You play it real, and people are laughing.
Everybody, they can sit there and go, I know exactly who you're talking about. That's my brother-in-law. That's my uncle. Yeah, they're just like, that's who it is.
There's Pathol.
Yeah, that's my mother. That's my mother right there. But I know that you've seen a lot of shows that have kind of influenced you. I know, like you say, one of your favorite shows is Chorus Line.
Right.
And that's like, if you don't like saying dream shows to direct, but it's like, that's the one you just go, man, that's
the one I'm going out.
That's the one, you're ready to go.
That was my very first Broadway show I ever saw, and it was in the early 80s on Broadway. And it was the original cast. And I sat there and I marvel at the fact that you have nothing but a bare stage. And you have these actors that are auditioning just to be in a chorus line, a touring chorus line.
Yeah.
And they all have their heartbreak stories. They have their triumphs, and it's done through a series of monologues and just the music, the way it was written, and it's all come together. And at the end, they reveal who gets chosen and get picked out. So
and that was early on when you going to see it. That was early on in kind of your theater life too. So it definitely has a profound effect on you.
Yeah, and I've seen revivals of it before. I went back to see it on Broadway. Took high school kids there in the early 90s with the original show before they closed the first time. We saw it 2 weeks before it actually closed in the early 90s. Huh? So, Streetcar Named Desire with Alec Baldwin and Jessica Lange, Amy Madigan in that. And, again, that was the same tour. I had high school kids with me. but several shows, and then I'll see something, and I go to OCTA a lot, which is Ohio Community Theater Association, and some of their state festivals. So you see these shows that were vetted at a regional, and they gather for a 3-4 day festival, and you get to see a lot of shows and cuttings from shows, and that's where I get ideas for shows to bring here and to
over the river.
Over the river
and through the woods. Yeah,
it's a great show. So anyway, those that's where I get ideas and inspiration from.
Is there any show that you sit there and you go, man, MTV Arts has to put this on? Like we need to do this show. This is a show that's going to speak to an audience, or this is a show that's going to, like, even as a dinner theater, this is a show that needs to be put on in this town for this audience, right, that you just haven't been able to do yet, or haven't had the opportunity, or just the right cast even, maybe.
Well, Chorus Line would be the one.
As a musical,
they've got to be the right people. Another one, I got to find the right script, though. I've read several scripts, but To Kill a Mockingbird, most of the scripts that I've read for those, they skip over either the main theme, or they don't bring out the heart of the story, like the way I would like to tell it, I guess.
I would like to read or see Sorkin's.
Yeah.
Because that one just looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
For everything. And it's,
Jeff Daniels,
it was
Jeff
supposed.
Daniels in that?
He left, and then it was Ed Harris, and then someone else just took over before everything closed down.
Right.
And they were going to tour it. It was technically coming this fall or this winter to Columbus,
right,
or Cleveland, one of those. It was coming to. So I was like, I probably won't now, but I would love to have seen that, because I'm a Sorkin fan.
Yeah.
One of my dream shows that I would love to see us do is Few Good Men. Or Glenn Ross, which is Mammoth.
Right.
Talk Radio, which is Eric Bogosian. So I look at, these are a little edgier, but there's just something where I go, I think we could find a small enough niche audience to do something like those every so often.
Yeah, I think you need to. You need to stretch your actors and your audience. You got to stretch your audience a little bit and get them out of their comfort zone occasionally. When I saw Raisin in the Sun, it was from a group in northern Ohio at a play festival, and they did the last scene, and I just thought it was riveting, and their performers, and I said, we've got to do this. We've got to do this. But then I set an obstacle, not an obstacle, but a challenge to where are you going to find not just quality actors, but they also have to be African American. Yeah. They got to be black actors, and we were able to do it.
And I said I would love to do Fences with almost that entire cast.
Right.
That's another one of my shows that I just, every time I read it, or even the film, because Denzel Washington was in the show on Broadway, then directed and adapted the screenplay and everything, and it was just, it's phenomenal to watch.
Right.
And
family drama.
Yeah,
it's very.
We tend to do that.
Well, that's theater. That's life. And if you think there's a perfect family out there, well, you better look a little deeper, because everybody. I mean, we're humans. We have conflicts. We argue. We make up. That kind of thing. So
now, do you have any? Because you don't ever want to say, oh, because that was your best show or that was the best show, because a lot of audiences will tell you that, and that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
What I think is weird is that you're on stage and you're doing a run of a show, and you feel you didn't do your best that night,
and someone comes up and tells you,
and everybody in the audience comes up to you later. They go, "Man, you were awesome!"
So good.
And
you're like, sure.
I wish I could have been there. Well, I didn't feel it.
Most of mine is, I'm glad you didn't have the script in your hand.
But to me, it's an energy level, and then other times you think you're really rocking it, and the audience seems to be pretty. But you can't let the audience interfere with your performance.
Yeah,
you've got to allow them in and feel that energy, but you can't if you got to laugh every night except for that night, that particular line, you can't let that throw off the rest of the show. You've got to stay focused and keep doing what you're doing.
Are you any shows that you are, I guess, particularly just like overly proud of, where you just kind of said, it's got a special place to me? Like other shows, I love them, I had fun doing them, it was a good time, great cast, great audience, but it wasn't like in here, it didn't stick stick with you as much. Like, because I have fun in almost every show I do, but there's just certain ones that I can sit there and go, man, like that just, Addams Family was that for me. That was just such a cast that there was never any drama. There was never anything. It was just everyone working together, almost perfectly cast with everyone.
I was so glad when they changed it from the Broadway.
Oh yes, that too.
I saw Brooke Shields play Morticia, and it was a fun show when I saw it. But they made a lot of changes, just like they did with Shrek.
Had to, yeah.
Well, they did it with Shrek too on Broadway when they toured it. They rewrote parts of the script and cut songs, or maybe added something. And their improvements for the touring shows were far better than the original.
Even when it came from Chicago to New York, they were getting ripped from each place they went to until they sat it down, tore it apart, and rewrote it. Yeah, that was the only time it was actually good.
I loved that show. I loved The Addams Family. It was a wonderful show. I liked the revisioned Wizard of Oz last year with the new look to it, and nothing familiar, but like our witches looked different. Our witches were more glamorous. She had to have a reason to fight for those shoes.
It all comes down to the shoes, doesn't it? But even things like Bad Seed, because for me it was the challenge of the character kind of made it a little bit more personal to me, or even Dearly Departed. That show, the cast alone, just the dialogue in it, it hits you.
It's fun.
Yeah, and you just have fun. You don't have to do anything.
Too, you get to play these people real. Yeah. When you play them real and the audience is still laughing, it's not like you're mugging up there, or like a farce. We do that. Shows that I would,
as being in, because as directing, I would say talk about ones that you've been in, and then things where you've directed. Because I've been very proud of Never Sang and
Death of a Salesman. I would have to say Death of a Salesman.
Death of a Salesman. That was the two best parts I've seen you do were that and I Never Sang, and that's not to toot my horn. Right. They were just polar opposites of how I've ever seen you portray a character. Right. And I've watched you a lot. Right.
And sometimes even on stage.
Yeah, even on stage. Sometimes it's and seeing that and going, wow, that is just.
It was fun. It touches. It personally hits you. It connects to you. Those are the big shows. Over the River.
Over the River will always be with me, and you know that because of
older character than myself.
Yeah, and you know that just because of my grandparents. I am incredibly close to my grandparents, so
it's a grandson in his late 20s, early 30s, moving across the other side.
We're going to say early 30s for the second time, not late 20s.
These are people who elderly, both sets of grandparents whose son and daughter married, raised two kids. The sister moves away when she's married, and then the parents, their children, move to Florida when they retire. So these guys are approaching 80. Yeah. They're all four of the grandparents, and they're still next door neighbors. Yep. So they want to keep Nicky there, their son, Nicholas, and they want to keep him there, and he is taking a job offer to go live in Seattle, I think. And it's just kind of like saying goodbye, but there's a comedy, though. It's so many.
Yeah. Oh, my grandparents literally would say some of the lines, and they're not Italian, they're Scottish, but they would say almost exactly what these people would say. And
fun show.
That was a show where, you made me cry on stage.
Did you give you a line?
No. It was you delivered a line and said something, you were letting me go or whatever, and you do what you have to do, Nicky.
He's dying of cancer. The character's dying, and he doesn't want to tell Nicky this because he doesn't want to use that. His wife is telling him, you go tell him. You go tell Nicky. You tell him what's wrong, and that'll keep him to stay. Yeah. So I take you out on the front porch, and I start to tell you about our other son who had died in Korea, and I had to say goodbye not knowing he was going to return. Yeah. And I talk to you about life and whatever, and then I just choose at the last minute not to tell you, and you know something's wrong. And I say, no, forget it, Nicky. You go. You live a good life.
And I just remember sitting on that because we built a porch, essentially. And, and I sat there and I went, almost, in a couple of months it'll be a year since my grandfather passed. And so it was, even back then, essentially I was there all the time. They gave me cookies and food, so I was right right there.
Yeah.
But the stories they would tell, and even all this, playing a board game. So when you were sitting there telling me those kind of things, and it made me think, I was like, oh crap, what is going to happen to me when I have to kind of deal with that?
Yeah. You tap into yourself. Yeah.
And I did. I kind of started to choke up a little bit, and that, thinking back on that show, actually has helped me get through a lot of the stuff from losing my grandfather, because it was just like, oh man, all those times I had with him, I'm thinking back in Nikki's monologues of all the times I had back going and eating dinner and things, and I was like, man, living in the basement, like that's...
Theater is cathartic. And it's very visceral in a lot of levels, and I know some people say, I don't want to see a drama, I don't want to be sad. Well, sometimes you have to face it, and what safer environment than in a room where you're not experiencing it, but you're living it through the actors saying the lines and doing it. And if it brings a tear to your eye, then of course the actors have done their job, but it's also touched you somehow. And I think that you do need the drama. You do need a little bit of real life on stage. Of course, you need the comedy and everything else with that, but I do think you need those because it gives you the tools at times when you need them to. Art has always been that. Art has always been a way for us to deal with reality, and it is an extension of who we are as a society. I tell actors, when I'm giving workshops or whatever, is to try to tap into an emotion that mirrors your own experience in life. You may not have lost this particular person in your life. You may never have had to go through a divorce or whatever, but the heartbreak. Think of something else in your life that you just have to give up, although it's painful. It's over. It's painful. I mean, maybe it was leaving college. Maybe it was a moment to where, you're leaving your parents for just something you have to give up. Now, how does that relate to that character? Knowing they have to divorce because they just can't live together, but it's so painful. How do you show that pain to the audience?
Yeah.
So actors have to pull on these different emotional buttons that they carry around, and you just got to tap into that stuff. And I think theater is very cathartic for people.
Yeah, it was really neat. Wizard of Oz is not my favorite show just to begin with. It's all about shoes. Apparently water can kill this woman.
A bunch of women.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And she just meets three strangers and goes, hey, let's go on a journey.
You got this phony man, like most men. He's just phony. Figurehead. Yeah.
So but playing that part, because I had a close relationship with Chuck, as kind of not a mentor, but he kind of always had confidence in me, and thought that I could do theater. When we met. And so being able to do a part like that and, use his coat, use his hat, the walking cane. That walking cane, I do not cry. I am not a crier. And I cried a little bit because I was like, wow, this is, then even she and Daryl told me it was, this is his favorite walking stick. And it was this gorgeous glass cane, and I was just like, man, I'm gonna have to hang it up in my room somewhere to be like, this is so cool. But being able to do things like that's kind of where I get the proudness and the catharsis, is just being like, I'm doing it, I may not be doing it for myself, I'm doing it for someone else. I'm doing it to show, to pay my respect, I guess, in a way. So that was kind of neat. But what would you say as a director, what are you kind of the most, not proud of, but what is one that you're just kind of like, wow, we really kind of got that?
Well, the Anne Frank, Diary of Anne Frank, and of course it's personal because the second time we did it, it was with my daughter, and that, and I'm trying to think of. Well, those were the two classics I directed. I was in most of them, but those are the two I directed. I drove both versions. Very proud of that. As far as musical, I would have to say Peter Pan from the beginning, but all the musicals were wonderful. But Peter Pan was the first time when those doors open and Tatiana Lise is flown and she flies up out towards the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody had ever seen that before in Bucks County.
Yeah.
And then everybody's going, whoa! And then it got dead silent.
If they have, it wasn't supposed to happen that way.
Yeah. There was a little kid in the front row, and one night he was just like very silent, and he goes, "It's magic," and people laughed and clapped, and
that's what's great about theater in general. I mean, look at Beauty and the Beast. I don't think both times. I don't think there was a night where when Belle came out and said, "Is he gone?" about Gaston, that a little girl or a little kid in the audience didn't go, "Yeah." You know, just
they talk back to you.
Yeah, they talk back to you, and it's just great.
You know, they're engaged.
So obviously in these times that we're in, how do you think theater will change or adapt? Or do you think it'll literally just go back to normal? Because I know everyone's talking about a new normal.
I think it's all going to depend on how soon we feel comfortable sitting elbow to elbow in a dark room watching theater, just like any sporting events. As soon as we get to that level, I know a lot of it will go back. I think people will be hungry. I think people will want to see live stuff again, because like right now we have 3 TVs in my house, and they're just, I mean, Netflix and
there's only so
Hulu
much you can watch.
Oh my gosh! And then trying to watch regular television with every 7 minutes they go into a 5-minute commercial. Some of that, there's not enough substance.
Yeah.
There's not enough substance. And I was not emailing, but Messenger, one of my friends who was an actress in Raisin in the Sun from Columbus, and she said something about she misses theater. She's a wonderful actress and a musical theater person. And she goes, "How are you holding up?" And I said, "At this point, I will see anything. Sock puppets, you know. I would see anything at this point. I just need live humans doing something in front of me, you know."
But but even doing these kind of things where we can adapt and do podcasts and video chats and just showcasing talent in any way,
right.
It's almost another evolution to MTV Arts, because even if we do go back to the normal,
right.
we can always keep other things to showcase, because you should always be showcasing some sort of talent.
Right now is the primitive stage of this stuff.
Yeah.
We're seeing what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And so you've got to do something to be together. And you and I right now are probably, about 12 feet apart with these microphones?
Yep.
So, we'll see what works. But I honestly do believe that when things open up, fully open up, people are going to be so hungry to just get together and be with other people, to see a show, to ticket sales. Once the economy gets back, once people are no longer afraid to sit next to each other and greet each other and shake hands and do whatever, I think it's going to boom. It's going to boom. We need it as a culture.
Yeah.
As humans, we need that.
So, and people have said this all the time, I guess you can say you've been somewhat of a mentor to me, and that's...
Sometimes they're good things.
Yeah, and that's just as disturbing as it sounds.
Yes.
But who would you say... how do you feel about things like that? When people say things like that to you about the impact that you've either had on their lives or in the community, and from that, who would you say kind of mentored you during your early days? Because I've been around for the long run with you.
How do I feel about that? Of course I'm gracious when people want to tell me I had a positive impact on decisions.
I didn't say it was positive when I did it. I just said you mentored me.
I've got a totally different answer. Okay, I've got a totally different answer. And who mentored me? I would have to say it's people that showed me a positive way and a negative way. I look at every experience as being valuable. I took some things. There's a lady who is she's a legend in our town community, Barbara Thatcher. I watched how she organized things. I watched how she put her thumb down, demanding quality from people, and I thought that you have the right as a director and as a performer. If you're going to put it out there, you want the best that people are going to bring forward, and I always respected that from her, and I learned a lot from that. I learned from different people in the community, Columbus area that I worked with. Michael Schackenbauer, who's no longer with us, a dear friend of mine. I learned learned a lot from the way he minimalized things, and he brought the essence of whatever that scene was about to life, and what he demanded of his actors. Pam Hill, who I worked with her twice on 2 world premieres in Columbus at the Yazanoff Jewish Center, and I just enjoyed working with her and her insight to the way a scene should be played. And then I also worked with some directors that I thought, I will never do that. I will never berate an actor in front of other people over something that is either very personal or very hurtful. Of course, if an actor is coming out and they're inappropriately using a prop and someone's going to get hurt, you're going to lose your temper and you're going to, react. I try not to be a reactionary, but if somebody comes out and they're waving a dangerous prop or something and they're goofing off or something, of course I'm going to let them know that that's not appropriate in those kind of situations. But I'm just talking about if an actor isn't getting the lines down, if an actor isn't putting forth some effort, you gain nothing. You gain nothing from your cast or from that particular actor by embarrassing them.
Here's something. What do you wish you had known when you started out, like that now? Like, I know besides I really should have read that script.
Yeah.
But because we've done shows that we've gone, wow, I really wish I would have really read that script to go, man, that was bad. Because we've switched shows after thinking a while, going, wow, that's not as funny as I thought.
We read the synopsis of a dinner theater, and then we get the script going, we can't do that.
Yeah.
And not because of any other reason other than physically we cannot, have somebody in a lion suit jump out of the audience or something, something silly. Is there something I wished I would have known at the beginning?
Don't do every show. Like, I don't have to do everything.
That's kind of, but again, that is you learning it all and trusting. Because I had it years and years ago. I had a woman try to do props for me, and it was a period piece, and the buckets were supposed to have been aluminum and all beat up, and she brought me plastic buckets. And I tried to explain to them that wasn't going to work because of the time period. And she got upset with me and said she'll never again do props for me because I wasn't gracious enough to accept what she brought me. And I'm thinking, okay, I learned something from that. I need to be specific, and I need to make sure the person that that I asked to do a job or volunteers a job is either capable of it or willing to be mentored by somebody that is. And I think that's a very good lesson, because if you turn something over to somebody and you give them total responsibility and they don't either have the skill set or the keen eye of detail, and then you have to retract their work or their time spent, it bothers me that I have to do that. But on the other hand, I have people paying money to watch a show, and the minute a plastic bucket comes out in 1939, it's going to ring, and I'm thinking, I can't do that. I know I don't have to do everything, but I also wished I would know how to put the right people in the right positions. And I love new people that come in and try new things, but then they have to be open to being mentored by somebody that will, guide them along. And some of the best people I work with, they come up to me and go, "Hey, is this okay before I do all this? Is this?" And I think that's respect out of the to the director.
Yeah, I like being challenged too. I like someone coming up and questioning me every so often, because it means that not only do they care, but they're thinking about something that maybe I would never even thought of.
Oh, I love that.
And they come up with, and they don't do it in like a rude way or anything. They just go, I was thinking about this kind of thing and this prop or this, this thing, and you go, wow, that works. Let's just try that, because I didn't think of that. You want to have the credit, you always want to sit there and go, man, that was my idea. It was perfect. But then when someone else does it, you're just like, wow, that I'm glad I've got them on my team.
Right.
I'm glad I've got that actor.
We just did Breaking Legs, and you came in for a couple of rehearsals, and just a couple little things that you did changed the whole dynamics of a particular scene.
Yeah. Oh, around the
squealer,
and the foot massage.
Yeah.
It was so blocked by everything that, man,
and,
opening it up, it was just, wow, that was,
you need another set of eyes sometimes just to see things. That's why Joe Bell and I work so well as set builder. I will give him the vision and then maybe give him a sketch or pull some resources from the internet from other shows that aren't even related, but the concept, and then he'll start building, and then he'll have me come in and check, and I look at it, and then he'll have an idea. Next thing you know, we got ourselves a nice quality set.
Yeah. What is it like when you direct a show and you're in it? I know, I mean, it's hard because you don't have that second set of eyes.
Right.
So you can't critique yourself.
Right.
I mean, because I always say, like, I'm always critiquing myself no matter what. I'm just very critical of what I'm doing on stage because I want that best performance, but I can't see what I'm doing.
I don't recommend it to people. I really don't. I don't think it's a good thing to be in a show and direct it. That's why I'm never in any of my musicals. There's a lot of non-singing.
There's other reasons.
Well, okay. I'm talking about the non-singing roles there. There's a lot of fun non-singing roles in musicals, but I just like to watch the whole vision.
Yeah.
I like to watch the whole vision. Now, the dinner theaters, it's a smaller cast, and a lot of times you're not in every scene.
Yeah.
So, like in Breaking Legs, I just directed that. I wasn't in every scene. I was in 4 scenes out of 7, I think.
Yeah.
And I was able to direct, but the scenes I was
there were chunks. Yeah, there were large
and I was
chunks.
Able to sit back and watch,
yeah.
but to have you come in and critique it, and we did. Susan Moreland directed Jake's Women for us last year, so she was able to keep a good eye on it. But I had some experienced actresses there, so I let the actresses trust their instincts.
Yeah, you're very organic as a director, and I like that. I do a lot of organic blocking and things. I want to see what the actor is making, the choices they're making.
Right.
It just looks really bad when is I have nothing. Like if I come up there and I'm just like, man, I'm directing it, I'm in it, and I have no idea. I thought I had an idea, and I started to do it, and then I'm just like, nope, I'm just, hey, you guys do your thing.
I had the most fun, like this last show again, Breaking Legs. I knew I had to have the actress cross to the other side of the stage, but it just looked random. And I'm watching it, and I'm not in the scene, and I said, we got to motivate that. You've got to cross over to that window for a reason. So what can we do to get you over there? And then that's where the creative juices flow. She was coming up with reasons. She goes, maybe I could be picking things off the table. Maybe I could be moving over there to get something. Maybe something happens outside the window. Mm-hmm. Something's got to get me. I said, okay. But then we also thought maybe the other actor is getting a little too close, or he says something with a tone that gets her to move away. So that's where the fun comes with the blocking. It's very obvious to an audience. If the audience notices you're blocking, then it's not good blocking.
Yeah.
It's got to work. You got to go someplace for a reason, like we do in real life. I'm just not going to get up right now and randomly walk over to the sink and stand there.
Yeah.
Why would I?
Yeah. With you guys, with 12 Angry Men, you guys had to be on stage for 2.5 hours straight. You never leave. But you had business. You could go over and smoke a cigarette and open up the window. You could go read a paper, even though technically you wouldn't have had a paper. They wouldn't have had a paper, but you can.
Right.
Back then, I guess you could have. You could go to the bathroom. You could do all of those things. And you started a guy to ask me what we could do. Like, we'll come up with business. And then finally, I just said, I'm not going to find business for you guys to do.
Right.
I'm focusing on all the moments of the show. You guys come up with the business. And you guys would go off into the bathroom and sit
and doodled on
the pad, almost falling asleep. They put their head down until something happened, until something kind of piqued their interest.
Right.
Sam, God bless him, he'd just sit there and sometimes just zone out, and it was perfect because he would just look and go, like, I don't want to be in here, and he would just look. It was just it's hot, and I'll just kind of look away and not pay attention to anything until I need to. But I remember the first time I said, well, you guys have the bathroom. And then you guys would go off stage and go to the bathroom. I'm like, no, not that. You can't go to the bathroom. You're just going in this little room, the one I built up there. A little bathroom with a little tub of water.
Well, we had a sink and we had a paper towel.
You had paper towels.
The urinals and toilets were off stage.
Yep. But you could sit there, and I think we did. We put water. Did we put water in it?
Yeah,
we did it the first time. I think we had some sort of water. But you could sit there and do things. You could look out the window, smoke. There was a lot of things that everyone was doing. People were reviewing their notes that they had made throughout the show.
When you had maybe two actors maybe off to the side, like they're having a private conversation
without talking, because the mics were hot the whole time, which we found out by someone going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
The actual real bathroom.
The bailiff wandered off stage. Here's somebody using the restroom and then the flush.
That was the absolute best.
Yeah.
So to kind of conclude this, I'm stealing because I think this is great, and because I always loved watching Inside the Actors Studio.
Okay.
So by God, I'm stealing it.
Okay.
So you obviously can't do the curse word. You can, but don't tell me it.
Right.
I could beep it technically.
Right.
So these are the questions that he always asks. So what is your favorite word?
Oh, gee, that's tough. Great.
Okay.
I like the word great.
What is your least favorite word?
Dream show. I hate that.
I'll go with the two words. I'll allow it.
Whenever an actor says my dream show, it's usually the negative content.
And I'm going to say this apprehensively, but what turns you on?
Opening night.
Oh, nice. That's actually, I like that one. I like that one.
Opening night is so exciting.
What sound or noise do you love?
Rain.
Oh, really?
I like rain.
Do you like it on like the regular sound, or do you like it against like where you hear it on like a tin roof and all those kind of things?
No,
or
it's just as long as I'm in a warm house and you got and you hear the rain out there, it's just something about being secure. You're there. Yeah.
Okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
Police sirens, especially when I'm driving and it's behind me.
Or when we're rehearsing in the warehouse and they go by every 5 minutes.
When I hear a siren, I mean, it just does something to you. And see, my father was a police officer, police chief when I was a kid. So when you hear that,
you're in trouble.
Well, you look out. The first thing you do is just look around. What did I do wrong? 10 and 2, 10 and 2, 10 and 2. You're not going way up.
What I'm going to ask this. I'm just gonna because we don't know who's gonna be listening to this.
Right.
So we're gonna do the curse word thing. We can do you bleep it, you can spell it, or you could rhyme it.
Okay.
So which one would you like? Because I have a feeling I know what yours is.
Let's rhyme it.
Okay, we'll do the rhyme.
Okay.
Well, so what is your favorite curse word? You don't even have to say rhymes with. You could just say with a word.
It's another word. It's the more another word for crap.
Okay, I'll take. Oh, that really that one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because things happen.
Yeah, and you can always
happens.
yeah. And we've had a lot of those moments, and you have that moment, and you have
I'm not a cursor by nature because I teach school, and I was shooting pool with a friend of mine, and in his basement, and we had a couple drinks, and every time I missed a shot, I would swear, and he'd go, "How can you teach kids and you swear?" And I said, "Because I swear consciously. I'm not an unconscious swearer like the mom in Walmart, where she's trying to round up her kids and these profanities come out of her mouth and she's not even aware of it. No, when I choose to say a swear word or a curse word, I'm doing it because I'm conscious of it. So no, I'm not an unconscious swearer.
And really, you're probably learning more words from them anyway, from the kids.
Oh yeah, well. Yeah.
I've learned a lot of new words listening to kids sometimes going, where'd that one?
I have
Okay.
to look them up.
Yeah. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt? Besides obviously teaching and doing theater.
I wished I would have taken the time to go to architectural school. I think I would have enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, I love architecture, and you live in a Frank Lloyd Wright house.
Yeah. Well,
so
a version of it.
Yes.
During this pandemic, my wife and I always go out to Kenyon and walk through campus and try to get in a couple of miles of exercise. And one day we just went to find all the cornerstones of all the buildings when they were built. And I have never noticed all the detail on the Kenyon buildings.
Oh yeah, they're beautiful.
Gee, yeah, just
beautiful.
The rose windows at the church there.
Yeah, and I've loved architecture. That would be what I would say, honestly, for myself.
If I had to start over again.
I love architecture. It's a lot of work when you come to actually designing the building and
but it's
all
like
of that.
It's like a piece of art. It is like a play. Once you're finished, you sit back and you go, "This is what I did with my time."
Yeah, and I told you I love the Chicago and New York
Well, Chicago
architecture and everything.
When the Chicago fire, I mean, they brought every architect around the world to come and rebuild that city. So that's why you have so many wonderful different styles.
Yeah.
They all went up about the same time.
But people always say, like in New York, they're like, oh, the Empire State Building, the Empire State Building, the Empire State Building. And I'm like, there's something about the Chrysler Building.
Well,
I love the Chrysler Building,
Remember
the look of it.
World Trade Center.
Yeah, it's
inside that thing.
Yeah, and you can you look out and you see all of them, the way it's designed, and it's even the city architecture, like how to design the city, where how they built everything so it kind of goes like this, and it doesn't ruin the skyline from afar. Right. It's amazing.
Right, a lot of thought goes into that. Yeah, I think that's what.
That's an interesting one. I like that one. Yep. Okay. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do the opposite of that. Which one would you not want to attempt? Because I know they do that. He did that one every so often too. What profession would you not want to attempt?
I don't think I have the capacity to be or to be a doctor. I know I admire doctors. I think they're.
And in these times, this is all the stuff they're doing. Yeah.
I would not want the responsibility of taking to assessing somebody's symptoms and then saying this is the end all to be. Now I know it's very rewarding, and if you've got that kind of brain that can do that kind of stuff, I admire you. I worship you. We need you. I would never want to be that person.
I don't want that pressure either. Couldn't do it. Even a surgeon, a surgeon especially. I see the things that and you look at videos and stuff, and all the things that they're doing, the little tiny things inside your body that they are fixing, that they are doing surgery on.
Yeah.
Nope. I can't do it. I have the utmost respect for those people.
I can miscast a character in a play.
Yeah, you can't misdiagnose.
Every time they come on stage, I can kind of like shake my head and go, okay, I own that.
You can't miscast a diagnosis or surgery.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought you needed a lung transplant, but it was your kidney.
Yeah, whoops. And then,
doctor.
Finally, if heaven exists.
That was like Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
Or
and
Dr.
even then,
Phil, or Dr. Phil. Or
Dr. Phil, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you really got.
And then finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates? You missed your cue.
Yeah, speak up. What would I like? Hey, come on in. We have all your friends here.
There you go. I like that. Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
At least it wasn't like stage right.
Yeah.
I said stage right. Come in this.
You don't know your line.
Do you have everything memorized? Come back when you do.
Your blocking is wrong. You're supposed to go in the other direction.
Yeah, exactly. Whoops. Okay, so So thank you for that. We've got. I think this is. It's been a lot of fun, actually. This has surprisingly been a lot of fun.
Actually, having a conversation with you, pretending someone's listening.
Exactly.
That's what it's all about.
Hopefully, people will enjoy these.
If we can get somebody to listen to them.
If we can get some people to listen to them, we're gonna send these out to on Facebook through. I don't know about YouTube yet, but I know we're gonna do it on Facebook. We're gonna put it on our website in general.
You'll let me hear it before it goes, right?
No, I'm totally gonna alter your voice. You're gonna sound like a chipmunk for 90% of this.
Oh, good. Or Marge Simpson.
Yeah,
Marge Simpson's sister. Yeah.
What we will put this on Facebook, all the social media things. Hopefully, maybe you can link it to a Twitter and an Instagram. We'll let the youngins do that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna keep continuing these going. We're gonna get. Really into all the history of the theaters and just tell some stories and have some fun during these times. So thank you all for listening. Thank you for being the honored guest, esteemed guest.
Yes.
Hopefully and thankfully this thing is recorded.
We'll find out.
I can't even say take 6 or 7 for this. It's literally just been like, let's just do it.
Let's just get out here.
So thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Hey, we'll see you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.